All right, let's call this meeting to order. This is the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority regular board meeting of September 27th, 2024. The board did meet in executive session. There were no votes taken. And we'll start with a roll call.
Mr. Domock.
Here.
E.J. Lieber.
Here.
Alex Schuley.
Here.
Erica Strasburger.
Here.
Peg McCormick Barron.
Here.
Jamal Bay. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers for public comment? Please come to the microphone.
Can you hear me?
You can pull closer if you need to.
I'm used to seeing a ticking clock and everything, so I'm assuming I have 3 minutes or a few minutes here. My name is Dana Dolney. I live at 3425 Bethoven Street, Pittsburgh, PA 15219. That is the neighborhood of Polish Hill. I'm here today specifically in a broad stroke to request an overall investigation by DOMI and PWSA of Bethoven Street from the Bloomfield Bridge, which is currently experiencing some type of water main break. I was just informed a valve all the way through Bethoven down to Harding Street. Specifically though, today I am here to advocate 100% for myself and my neighbor because we are facing a very dire situation. This is very personal to me, and so I'm going to try my best not to get upset right now. So I apologize if I take a couple pauses. Over the last 4 to 5 years, we have been dealing nonstop with issues from PWSA. If anybody is on our street, you will know that we get calls weekly, bi-weekly. So many times our water is shut off. Water main break, water main break, water main break. It has all been piecemealed over the years. Nothing has been fixed in total. Over the last 3 years, I started to have the experience that I thought was unique, which I found out was not on my street, of having massive sinkholes in front of my house. The first one was a few years back when I got banged on the door in the middle of the night to be informed that my car was about to fall into a sinkhole. It was that big. I didn't document any of these things at the time because I did not think that this was my issue. I thought that this was going to be rectified and dealt with in a timely manner. Unfortunately, that sinkhole then turned into multiple water main breaks in front of my house, one of which I don't even know where it stemmed from, but I swear to God, we had a river flowing that was up to my calves. It flowed for over 16 hours, if not more, to the point where the grass in front of my house and my neighbor's house actually lifted up off. All of the roots lifted up off and the grass was floating. That's how long and how much water went down our street. These things have become common occurrences and jokes almost. But I used to say my sinkhole because then again, after that, another sinkhole opened up. This one was massive as well. They came, I mean, when I say massive, I mean at least 4 feet, 5 feet, not a pothole, sinkholes. So they came, they put a patch on, they said they were going to come back and fix it. That patch remained forever through a winter and a half. Following that patch, over this last spring, another small hole opened up, this time on my sidewalk. And this looked more like a pothole, but it was on my sidewalk. I put a cone in it because I was worried somebody was going to step and fall and I was going to get sued. So in April, I contacted PWSA. It was 3 months before somebody came out to fix this other sinkhole. When they finally came out, I asked what was going on. If somebody could please inform us, and just, this has been years. This is madness. This is insanity. Just let us know what's going on. They finally came to fix it and they patched it for real, like did the real job this time. But then they did what they said was an investigation. After 3.5 years of no investigation, now for my little pothole size sinkhole, I get an investigation and I am told with no other warning, I get a failure notice from my sewer lateral. And so does my 90-year-old neighbor. No conversation, no phone call, no nothing, just a threat. That we had 7 days by the time we received this to construct a full plan on how we were going to replace the sewer laterals. How we we're going to be responsible for replacing this emergency now of these sewer laterals. My neighbor, who's lived in this house for 90 years, was so upset that the next week of the, needless to say, I had to take her to the doctor. So for the last 2 months nonstop, I have not only been dealing with this for myself, but her as well. She's 90. This does nothing for a 90-year-old except for scare them to death. We called, we tried to get information. I asked for a report to be sent. Why can't I have a report sent on what you know before I get a plumber out and spend hundreds of dollars? But we didn't have a choice, so we started moving forward. So I had 2 different plumbers come out, both of which were not plumbers that I ended up working with. But both of them through scopes told me and showed me that, interestingly enough, my sewer lateral line is above your sinking main. Your main line has sunk and my sewer lateral is here. So unless Polish Hill is defying gravity right now, I was not having backup in my house. I was not having anything because mine is still pouring into your lateral line, or my lateral line is still pouring into your main. But by next week, it was supposed to be Monday, I'm facing $20,000 plus, and so is my neighbor facing an additional $25,000 to have to pay to tap into your line. I have no problem paying to fix my aging lateral. We all know that this is old, 100-year-old house. That's my responsibility. I get that. My trap is my responsibility. I get that. But $50,000 between 2 people who have lived through hell for 5 years plus of this nightmare with PWSA on our street, no conversation, no investigation before, no information on how we can do anything. And for the record, right now, I had to spend 2 months to like refinance my entire life and basically sell a kidney to try to come up with $30,000 because the URA doesn't even have any programs right now to help homeowners with low interest loans. The county does, but you don't qualify if you live in the city of Pittsburgh because the URA is supposed to have a program. So I have lost everything to refinance, and my 90-year-old neighbor is spending her last days of her life with no choice. And so I have to try to expedite this because she needs this to be done. But I can't expedite this without fighting back because I know that this is not my fault. And I need someone from this board. I need someone from DOMI. I need somebody from PWSA to come with me and Deb Gross. Just look at what I have today to show you. I can show you the scope. I can show you where it's pouring in. And if you can explain to me how my line caused that sinkhole, then I will not pursue this. But at this point, I'm fighting for my life because this is all I have. Unless anybody else knows where I can come up with $30,000 or if there's some kind of magical grant. But us continually paying for this failure of the infrastructure, I have to do this today so the rest of my neighbors do not end up in the same place where I am today. Because all of us are targets. You can see patch after patch after patch after patch after patch. Who's next? I went through my street. I sent a letter around to everybody, which I'll share with you. I'm getting phone calls left and right. We want a meeting. We want a full meeting. We want people to be able to talk to you and we want explanations. But today, we can't face everything. We can't face all of Bethoven. So today I'm just asking for the next step to try to halt this harm before it goes forward. And I'll leave it at that. I have all of these things I can show you, but I will do that in private with anyone that wants to meet with me afterwards. And I thank you for your time today.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm sorry you're experiencing these problems. I'm certainly aware of all of the issues of our infrastructure and a lot of the aging and things that are caused. So I'm going to direct our CEO to investigate this matter and get back, let the board know. Hopefully we'll have a meeting or something that we can discuss this. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move to the approval of the meeting minutes of August 23rd, 2024. May I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
The minutes have been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes of August 23rd, 2024, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we will move to confirmation of CEO approvals. All CEO approvals from the prior month are approved. And we'll move to reports and updates. Start with the Finance Department, Mr. Barca.
Morning, Chair, members of the board.
Morning.
The financial status report in your board packet is through August 31st, 2024. Within the report, you will see that year-to-date receipts totaled $149.7 million. That represents about 62.8% of the total budget for the year. Specifically, though, within August, PWSA did experience weaker than expected receipts by collecting $22.5 million as compared to the budget amount of $24.3 million. This represents a difference of about $1.8 million in total for the month. I will say, though, that under collection amount, we do believe is a result of timing of payments. We'll continue to monitor that through the remainder of the year. We have seen this trend throughout the year thus far. So again, no pause for concern on my part, but it is something we'll continue to monitor. Total forecasted year-end receipts are projected to be $238 million. This represents a decrease of about $483,000, or about negative 0.2% as compared to budget. So again, while it is slightly below what we're projecting as compared to budget, it's less than 0.5%. So again, something we'll monitor, but nothing material at this point. Departmental operating expenditures through August totaled $76.5 million, or about 63.2% of the budget for the year. Capital expenditures through that same period totaled $96 million, or about 48% of the total budget. And I will note that it is expected that the rate of capital expenditures will continue to accelerate through the remainder of the year as we get invoices for the construction season that has been ongoing and is really wrapping up now that we are into the fall season here. $78.3 million in debt service costs have been paid through August. This represents 91.5% of the total budget for the year. Forecasted year-end debt service costs are projected to be $84 million in total, which is about $1.6 million lower than budget. PWSA's cash balance on August 31st, 2024 was $87.1 million. This is about a $12 million increase as compared to August 31st of 2023. So a nice increase there year over year. And then lastly, I just want to mention to the board that I had a chance to attend the Bond Buyer Infrastructure Conference earlier this month in Philadelphia. And I participated in a panel that really highlighted PWSA's lead service line replacement program. The specific focus, though, was on how we finance those lead service line replacements. I will say it was an excellent, conference. There was a lot of engagement from the attendees and a lot of good Q&A questions even after the panel discussion, which really showed that, folks were interested in our program, just given the questions that they had to ask. But it was also good to represent PWSA in that manner, given our successes. So having said all that, there is still a lot of work to be done with our lead service line program. But again, that conference really just highlighted in total really the success that we've really shown for that program, but also really that we're a leader in this effort, across the country replacing lead service lines.
Were you invited?
Yes, I was.
You were invited.
Yep.
Featured speaker.
I know whether you submitted an abstract or this was a conference that accepted your abstract, but you were invited to participate.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good for you.
But with that concludes my report for today. So I'll turn it back over to the board for any questions. Thank you.
All right. Any questions?
I do have a
comments?
question, Ed. You said that the debt service costs went down, 1.6 million?
Projected. So we're projected to
Projected?
spend 1.6 million less.
And what is that based on? Why is that? It's
Our-
good news.
Yep, definitely good news. It's really our deferral of a bond issuance. So we had planned to issue debt this year, but actually on the agenda today is a request to authorize an issuance, which we project will be January of 25. So we're just mindful of the election, mindful of the market right now. We think that, we can afford to wait a little bit longer into January. We think the market will be settled down to issue that.
Great, thank you.
Good. Any other comments or questions for Ed? Thanks, Ed.
Yep, thank you.
Next, we have the engineering department. Rachel.
Good morning, Chair Shuley and members of the board.
This month, I would like to begin my report by highlighting one of the programs that the Engineering and Construction Department manages, and I do have some slides that Cameron is pulling up. So the program I'm going to be highlighting is our surface restoration program. And these contracts include the restoration of our streets, sidewalks. Next slide, 2 slides forward, please. Thanks, Cameron. The restoration of our streets, sidewalks, and other property as required. One more slide, thank you. Due to work performed by our operations department, mainly, this is primarily on our water system. So the work that they're performing includes, but is not limited to, our water mains, valves, service connections, and hydrants. The surface restoration is an annual program which has had 2 contracts per year since 2021, and this is funded from our operating budget. Next slide, please. So shown are some examples of the work areas that require surface restoration under this program. You can see that the size varies substantially. It can be as small as a 5x5 concrete sidewalk pad, as shown on the left, to the complete mill and overlay, sometimes of an entire block of roadway. So you can see the size and scope really varies. Next slide, please. The next slide shows our GIS map that we use for planning this work. And this program uses GIS extensively for the planning and execution. Each yellow dot, which is probably hard to see in the back, but there are 867 of them. Each yellow dot represents a planned site that needs restoration. This particular snapshot in time is from March of 2024, at the beginning of this year's paving season, at which point, as you can see, there were 867 sites planned for restoration. And I do want to emphasize that this program is very dynamic because new sites are added every day due to the ongoing and daily work performed by our operations department. Next slide, please. So we use a data-driven analysis to determine where we're going to go and which wards we're going to pave in, and we do issue sites by ward. So the primary factors in creating this analysis, which we call a heat map, are the average age of all the sites in the ward, the number of sites on primary, secondary, and tertiary roads, and the number of sites that overlap bus routes. So the table shows a snapshot listing some wards, and the factors that I just described are all included in those numbers. And we look at this very data-driven analysis to help us decide which wards to address. Next slide, please. This table just shows some general information about some recent information about the program, including the budget, the number of sites, and average costs. We are slowly chipping away at a backlog of sites that started during COVID. So for example, in 2024, we started this year with 921 sites on April 1st. We project our contractors will complete approximately 674 sites this season. With new sites regularly being added, we anticipated a total of 615 sites remaining at the end of this paving season. Next slide, please. So a key component of this program is estimating the cost of each site. A little hard to see, but this is just demonstrating, again, how we use GIS. And the red box outlined in the pop-up window is showing a cost. So after operations completes work on any given site, our construction management firm actually visits that site and prepares a pretty detailed cost estimate using our current contractor pricing to estimate what the restoration cost will be for that particular site. And in this example, it's about $49,000. So our team then uses that information for planning and budgeting going forward. Another factor in this process is that we do use GIS to coordinate with our own future work. So future water projects, sewer projects, storm and green infrastructure. And this allows us to appropriately define the level of restoration that this contractor will perform. So for example, if we have a future water line replacement coming up in a given area, our surface restoration contract will only perform base repair, asphalt binder to grade, and then the concrete sidewalk work so that we're not duplicating efforts. Next slide, please. Lastly, to feature GIS, we have a specific layer and feature created specifically for the Pittsburgh Marathon. which can be seen by the light blue line outlined on this slide. And this capability allows us to proactively capture any surface restoration that overlaps the marathon route. As we know, the marathon is usually the first week in May, so having this allows us to create a plan throughout the winter so the contractors can jump on these sites very quickly during the month of April as soon as paving season starts. And lastly, I'm just going to quickly run through some before and after photos so you can see the high quality work that our contractors are doing under this program. Next slide. So this first one is in downtown Pittsburgh on Ross Street, obviously an asphalt paving area. Next slide. This next one is in Oakland, a very recognizable location in front of St. Paul's Cathedral. Again, another asphalt roadway. Next slide. We have an example of a brick road headed down on Addison Street toward Craig Street towards Center Avenue in the Hill District, and showing the work that's done on some of the brick roadways. And next slide. And this last one is an example of sidewalk replacement, accessible sidewalk at an intersection. This is in Squirrel Hill. That is all of my slides for today. Thank you, Cameron. So I'm going to move on now to an update on our water reliability plan. So the team continues to make progress towards bidding the Aspenwall Pump Station, Brecken Pump Station, and Clearwell Bypass Project, collectively known as ABC. We anticipate bidding this project for construction in mid-November. In other project updates, the Dragoon Way Stormwater Improvements Project, which involved installing underground stormwater storage tanks to address overland flooding, was completed this summer. That was in the Stanton Heights neighborhood, and it was completed ahead of schedule. The following projects are currently out for bid for engineering design: Sedimentation Basin Rehabilitation Project for professional engineering design services. Those bids are due October 9th. Construction management and construction inspection for our 2024 neighborhood light service line replacement contract B. Those bids are due October 10th. And one that just was published yesterday, I believe, construction management and construction inspection for our 2025 catch basin and inlet replacement project. Those bids are due October 29th. We currently do not have any engineering projects out for bid for construction. In outreach efforts, on Thursday, September 19th, PWSA hosted a day-long orientation session for our new on-call consultants. All of these firms received training and information related to project controls, safety, compliance, supplier diversity, procurement, and engineering standards. And I thank all the PWSA employees who organized and presented, as well as to all of our on-call consultants for attending. And we received much positive feedback regarding this successful event. Lastly, I would like to recognize Anna Bennett, who is a project manager in our stormwater group, for passing the professional engineering exam in the civil water resources and environmental practice. Congratulations to Anna on this significant professional achievement. This concludes my report. I'll turn it over for any questions.
Thanks, Rachel. Any questions or comments for Rachel? Always enjoy your slides. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move to the Chief Environmental Compliance and Ethics Officer report. Mr. Saderi.
Good morning, everyone. All right, so September is a pretty notable event or month for PWSA in terms of our environmental compliance and ethics program. September 14th of 2021, we had pled guilty in federal court related to some Clean Water Act violations under prior management. That same day, we entered into an administrative agreement with EPA Suspension and Debarment Office. The actions by the government that we entered into those agreements with demonstrate some of the far-reaching impacts to an organization when staff exhibits non-compliant or unprofessional behaviors. Happy to report here today that we have both complied with and satisfied the terms of that 3-year probationary period, which ended on September 15th, just a couple of weeks ago. As you're aware, PWSA's current leadership, along with the board's support, has taken many steps over the last few years to help us prevent future noncompliance and affirm PWSA's commitment to our core values. One of those includes ethics and integrity, which is modeling honesty, transparency, and professionalism in everything we do, which includes environmental and regulatory compliance. As part of our environmental compliance program, we have implemented third-party assessments and audits. These have been ongoing and conducted since 2021, so 3 years. This year, just earlier this month, we completed our fourth environmental compliance and safety assessment, both at the water treatment plant as well as a number of our field facilities. The assessment report is currently being compiled and will be shared with management to address any findings or corrective actions, and is really used as part of our continual improvement to make sure we continue to advance our environmental compliance as well as safety efforts. Last, I was able to attend an event up at our Highland Reservoir Pump Station construction project, where AECom, who is our construction manager for that project, provided remarks around the importance of environmental compliance and the efforts that were being taken for such matters at that project site. Our contractors, construction managers, as well as inspectors, all play a very important role in environmental compliance, ethics, as well as safety for us. And I was very pleased to hear this being discussed openly at this public event. Changing subjects here slightly to wrap up my report, I wanted to provide an update on our MS4, our Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System permit, which I've spoke to you before about. Here, PWSA is a co-permittee with the city of Pittsburgh. And this is for our storm sewers, which discharge directly to surface waters as opposed to those that might be connected to a combined sewer. We have 254 separate stormwater outfalls throughout the city that are managed under this particular permit. And the piece here I wanted to share today is that we have an annual report, which is due on September 30th of every year. It covers the reporting period for July 1st to June 30th. So this report really requires a significant amount of coordination between PWSA and the city of Pittsburgh. So I wanted to highlight that effort to work cooperatively together. The pieces that we are responsible for to report on in the report include public education and participation, our illicit discharge and detection and elimination programs, construction stormwater controls, our post-construction stormwater management efforts, as well as pollution prevention and housekeeping. We continue to work on these and again, make improvements to those programs every year. And it is in cooperation with the city to make sure that permit is successfully complied with. That's what I have to report today. I always remind everybody, including the board and our employees, contractors, if you have questions on compliance or ethics, I'm available to talk to. So any questions today?
Great, thank you. Questions or comments for Frank?
I got a brief comment. Stu, BJ, some others represent the plant. Just like to say, I really enjoyed the section on diatoms in the water quality report. So,
Thank you. We'll pass that along to our water quality group, who helps author that report to the board each year.
It's actually kind of important. You know, if you ever had a swimming pool, you've heard of diatomaceous earth. So, and we're growing diatoms. So
they are naturally present in our water. So that is one of the items that we keep an eye on. So, yeah.
Well, I would be remiss not to say that based on your opening remarks and so forth about work that's being done on environmental compliance. So thank you to you, Frank, personally, and to the staff, to the leadership team, to the board of directors, everyone who has raised the level of environmental compliance awareness and the work that goes on every single day that's being recognized outside of this organization and by the regulatory agencies as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Will, Chief Executive Officer report.
Good morning, Chair Shuley, members of the board, members of the public, and folks tuning in. I'll make my remarks brief. But Frank mentioned the event we had a week ago today out at the construction site of what will be the Highland Reservoir Pump Station, a new pump station, our first vertical facility or structure that PWSA has constructed in several decades. It was fantastic to have all of the different players, not just our elected officials. We had great representation from the board of directors at the event, but our staff. And so I really do want to give a hat tip to Mario Camarota, who is our lead in the construction management group for that project, who really worked behind the scenes to make sure we could pull off the event and that it was suitable for us to tour. And I also want to give a hat tip to Rebecca Zito and the public affairs team for planning the event. I think everyone that was there came away with an appreciation of what we're up to and where we're headed, which along the lines of your comments, Alex, is in the right direction to become the utility that our customers expect and deserve. And it's taken everyone who was at that event, it was at that event and more. That includes our contractor and consultant community and the folks that they employ, as well as our team. So did want to just recognize that event, and there will be more to come as we progress on the water reliability plan and other projects for the benefit of our customers. And then just wanted to touch on, again, build on your remarks, Alex, of this milestone of 3 years and retiring the probationary period. I think it's an important sign of progress, and really I have been extremely lucky, as the whole team have been, to work alongside Frank on this effort. And Frank's a pretty understated guy, so he's probably ticked off. I'm calling him out here again, but every now and then you work with people who make you step up your game and hold you to a higher standard, and everyone picks up on that. Frank's one of those people that I've been lucky enough to work with here over 3 years plus, and we have some more positive news on the compliance side as we grow out that program. But the culture is taking hold, and in retiring this agreement does not mean any of that changes or we take our eye off of that ball. So that's something we're going to continue to speak with you all about and engage the board in those discussions. We appreciate your leadership on that issue. And that wraps up my remarks. Happy to answer any questions folks may have.
Questions or comments for Will? I just want to say that the tour of the New Highland Pump Station was great. I certainly felt a terrific sense of pride representing the board and the work that was going on, and the team that was assembled to do that work. And plus, you made my mother very happy. She told me she saw me on TV. So
All right.
Good. Anyway, any other comments?
I would just echo that. It was really a fascinating experience for someone who's not accustomed to seeing pump stations. Really nice to see the large group of employees and others who were there. Laborers, people feeling really good. It was a great day, sunny day too, so that helped. So thanks for organizing it.
No, thank you for coming.
Terrific. All right, we'll move to resolutions. We'll start with resolution number 52. Mr. Barca.
Resolution number 52 of 2024, authorizing certain officers and officials to take action with respect to issuing new senior or subordinate lien revenue bonds for the purpose of paying down all or a portion of the capital line of credit in an amount not to exceed $150 million, and amending existing or entering into new indentures and other financing agreements.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 52, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution 52 is approved. 53, Ed.
Resolution number 53 of 2024, authorizing certain officers and officials to take action with respect to issuing new subordinate lien revenue bonds for the purpose of paying down all or a portion of the capital line of credit in an amount not to exceed $25 million, and amending existing or entering into new indentures or other financing agreements.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 53, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Number 53 is approved. We move to number 54.
Resolution number 54 of 2024, authorizing a financial assistance application and a letter of no prejudice to be submitted to the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Investment Authority for the 2025A lead service line replacement project in an amount not to exceed $30 million.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there a discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 54, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 54 is approved. We move to resolution number 55. The other BJ, William McFadden.
Yeah, every time somebody says BJ is doing X, I think, must be the other guy.
Resolution number 55 of 2024. Approving the emergency procurement for line locating services to T2 utility engineers. This is out of the operating budget for $1,298,358.25.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion? I'm not sure I know much about T2 utility engineers. Have we worked with them before?
No, we have not.
Okay,
They were a vendor that is currently doing one calls for Alcoasand.
okay,
So we kind of referred to them.
all right, very good. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 55, please indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 55 is approved. We move to resolution number 56. Rachel,
Resolution number 56 is approving a change order for the construction of the Aspenwall Pump Station concrete floor repairs to Pullman SST. Cumulative capital budget, $198,810.60. This project was originally envisioned to address some spalling concrete and cracks in the concrete of that floor in advance of the complete renovation. And once we got in, we realized that much more extensive work was required. Earlier this year, the board approved a larger change order for one portion of the floor. This new change order is primarily for the phase 2 second major work area, basically for the same reason that we got in there and realized that additional full depth concrete floor replacement would be needed.
very good. Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion? I'm curious, Rachel, do you know whether when we made the assessments, we did the core borings of the existing floor to get some assessment of the integrity of whether it was, more than just the spalling?
I think initially we did not. And so these change orders were developed after the contractor went in, did some exploratory work in
Okay,
both areas.
all right, thank you. All those in favor of resolution number 56, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, number 56 is approved. We move to resolution number 57.
Resolution 57 is a revision to a cost share agreement with the city of Pittsburgh for the Ruth Bend Street project. Capital budget, $1,225,765.24. The board had previously approved this agreement, and as noted, this represents a revision to the agreement due to actual bids received by the city.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Is this a rehab of the street? What is the actual project?
The actual work includes our storm sewer and water mains on the existing utilities in coordination with the city who's replacing a retaining wall. So it's a cooperative effort.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of resolution number 57, please indicate by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 57 is approved. We move to the last resolution of the day, resolution number 58.
Resolution 58 is approving an amendment of a professional services agreement operations for the wet weather program manager to Wade Trim Associates for a 3-year extension and increase in budget. The operating budget amendment is for $5,935,328.36. As we discussed extensively in executive session, this is an increase in scope of the work due to additional work required under this extensive program, which is in the effort to prepare a consent decree for our wet weather program.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second,
Any discussion? Well, I know these programs are lengthy from experience with Alcoasand and other agencies and so forth. So I'm happy to see that this is continuing and we'll hopefully get a resolution relatively soon. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 58, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? I'm going to be abstaining on this resolution. And my understanding is that some of the subcontractors to Wade Trim are firms that I've done some consulting work. So I will be abstaining on resolution number 58, even though I'm more than happy to see it move forward. I believe we have enough votes for passes. So resolution number 58 is approved. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
This takes us to the end of our meeting today. So thank you very much. I can't believe that it's fall already and season's changing. You know, with that, Will, you know, it brings all the challenges of breaks and everything else that we can look forward to. But I'm happy to hear the progress that we're making with some of our technology that you've pointed out before about leak detection. And so is there any other business that comes before the board today? May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. All right, we got my gavel back. Meeting's adjourned.
Should rename the sewer, the seasons